Good morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence family and friends welcome you to today's change of command ceremony between Major General Patrick D. Sargent and Major General Dennis P. LeMaster. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Lieutenant General James E. Rainey, the Commanding General of U.S. Army Combined Arms Command. We are joined by many distinguished guests, visitors, and friends. Among them are Lieutenant General Laura Richardson, the Commander of United States Army North, 5th Army, and Senior Commander, Fort Sam Houston and Camp Bullis, accompanied by Command Sergeant Major Alberto Delgado, Command Sergeant Major, United States Army North, 5th Army, and Senior Enlisted Leader, Fort Sam Houston, Camp Bullis. Command Sergeant Major Michael Gregg, the Command Sergeant Major of the U.S. Army Medical Command. Lieutenant General Retired Patty Orojo, the 43rd U.S. Army Surgeon General. Lieutenant General Retired James Peake, the 40th U.S. Army Surgeon General. Lieutenant General Retired Tom Travis, the 21st U.S. Air Force Surgeon General. Mr. Joseph Bray, the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army and his spouse, Rita. Dr. Richard Thomas, President of the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences. Command Sergeant Major Retired Hugh Rhodes, former U.S. Army North Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major Retired Frederick Clayton, former U.S. Army Medical Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major James Applin, former U.S. Army Medical Command Command Sergeant Major. Mr. Robert Nathing, the Deputy to the Commanding General, U.S. Army North and 5th Army. Major General Daniel Walworth, Commanding General, U.S. Army South, and his spouse, Christine, accompanied by Command Sergeant Major William Reinhardt, Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army North. Major General Daniel Dyer, the Deputy Surgeon General for Mobilization and Reserve Affairs, Office of the Surgeon General, and his spouse, Cynthia. Major General Barbara Holcomb, the Special Assistant Director, Army Staff. Major General John DeGose, the Commander of the Medical Training Wing, Lackland Air Force Base. Mr. J. Harmon, Deputy to the Commanding General, U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence. Brigadier General Laura Linderman, Commander of the 502nd Air Base Wing and Joint Base San Antonio, and her spouse, Colonel Retired David Linderman, accompanied by Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Lantage, Chief Master Sergeant 502nd Air Base Wing and Joint Base San Antonio. And Miss Roxanne O'Neill, the spouse of Command Sergeant Major William Buck O'Neill, Command Sergeant Major of the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence. We would also like to extend a special recognition to the honorees' family members who are attending today's ceremony. Major General Sargent's spouse, Sherry. Major General and Mrs. Sargent's daughter, Samantha Sargent. Mrs. Sargent's parents, Lloyd and Eleanor Hill. General Sargent's aunt, Mildred Singletary, her sister, Tracy Sutton, her spouse, John, his brother-in-law, Dwayne Hill and his spouse, Elisa, his brother-in-law, Sean Hill and his spouse, Sylvia, and nieces, Simone and Stephanie Hill, his cousins, Maurice Washington and his spouse, Dorothy. We are equally honored to welcome Major General LeMaster's spouse, Trouty, and his father, Dr. Dennis LeMaster. There are also many current and former general officers, members of the Senior Executive Service, Command Sergeants Major, and other distinguished guests from our community that are here today. We are honored by your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand for the invocation delivered by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Valeria Vandress.
If you wish, please pray with me. Oh God, we come to you today to say thank you for raising up Major General Sargent to lead this organization during a transitional time. Your word tells us that you set leaders in authority, and we have witnessed your grace and power at work in Major General Sargent's leadership. Bless him and his family as they ask, seek, and knock for your will to be done as they enter the next leg of their journey. We also ask that you would grant Major General LeMaster and his family grace as he enters this complex environment. Give him wisdom to be decisive, discerning, and steady as he enters a new epoch of modernization and innovation in the soul of Army medicine. Bless now all the soldiers, civilian staff, and families of this organization, as together we conserve fighting strength on both the physical and spiritual battlefields of war. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The presentation of a bouquet of roses to the outgoing and incoming commander's spouses has been an ongoing ceremonial tradition. At this time, Drill Sergeant Shepler, the Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year, is presenting red roses to Mrs. Sargent on behalf of the soldiers of the United States Army Medical Center of Excellence. Drill Sergeant Shepler will also present a bouquet of flowers and a gift to his daughter, Samantha. We ask that you please accept these gifts as a symbol of our respect, affection, please accept these gifts as an example of our sincere appreciation and respect for your contributions and dedication to the Army family. The red roses that you've received, they're in full bloom, and it's just a simple token to remind you of our love and our admiration that has blossomed over the past year and a half. Drill Sergeant David Nagel is the Medical Center of Excellence Best Medic of the Year. He is presenting a bouquet of yellow rosebuds to Major General LeMaster's wife, Trouty. He is also presenting a small token of appreciation to Major General LeMaster's father, Dr. Dennis LeMaster. These gifts symbolize a warm welcome from the soldiers and families and the beginning of a new relationship with the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence. The formation of troops on the field represent more than 7,300 soldiers assigned to the United States Army Medical Center of Excellence. The music for today's ceremony is provided by the 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam's own. The band performs at over 300 military and civilian ceremonies throughout the year throughout the state of Texas. Lieutenant General James E. Rainey, the Commanding General of the United States Army Combined Arms Command, is the host commander and reviewing officer for today's ceremony. The commander of troops is Colonel Daniel G. Bonnichsen, Chief of Staff, United States Army Medical Center of Excellence. The command bugler is Specialist Ricardo Rios. The official start of a military ceremony is signaled by the adjutant's call. The adjutant's call formed the command before the development of modern communications, when an officer was designated to distribute critical information and instructions to the troops. Adjutant's call. Sound Off is a ceremonial tradition that has opened parades of the American forces for over 150 years. On the command of Sound Off, it is customary for the band to march in front of the troops and then countermarch and halt in its original position. This march across the front line is said to have originated with the Crusades, when the troops, offering themselves for holy service, were drawn up in a long formation, and the band countermarched only before those chosen to serve.
Attention! Now, to that arm! Down! Order! Arm!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the rendering of honors to Lieutenant General Rainey. Lieutenant General Rainey defers his honors today to Major General Sargent in recognition of his successful time as the Commanding General of the Medical Center of Excellence.
Present arms! Order. Sound order arms and parade rest!
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Drill Sergeant Nagel, the Medical Center of Excellence Best Medic of the Year, is presenting Major General Sargent the shell from the last round of salute as a memento of today's change of command ceremony. In keeping with military tradition, the reviewing party and the commander of troops will now conduct an inspection by trooping the line. In days past, trooping the line enabled the soldiers to physically identify their leader and allowed the commander to personally observe and evaluate his soldiers' equipment to judge for him or herself their capability to successfully engage and win in combat.
Sir, the command is prepared for inspection. Present the command.
The Medical Center of Excellence traces its lineage to the Medical Field Service School established in June of 1920 at Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, nearly 100 years ago. The mission of the Medical Field Service School was to train doctors, dentists, and nurses in their duties as an Army officer. In 1924, the Medical Field Service School conducted the first professional courses for non-commissioned officers and privates first class. The Medical Field Service School moved to Fort Sam Houston in 1946 and was located in the 9th Infantry Regiment Quadrangle. In 1972, a reorganization of the Medical Field Service School resulted in a redesignation to the Medical Field Service School as the Academy of Health Sciences, and consolidated the Army's medical training, making it one of the largest medical training institutions in the world. In 1991, it was redesignated as the Army Medical Department Center and School, with the Academy of Health Sciences becoming the school arm of the AMED Center and School. In 1993, the AMED Center and School was realigned under the U.S. Army Medical Command Provisional and remained under the U.S. Army Medical Command, MEDCoM, as it became fully functional in 1994. On 19 February 2015, to better align with other education and training institutions across the Army, though still under MEDCoM, the Department of the Army added Health Readiness Center of Excellence to the school's designation, becoming the U.S. Army Medical Department Center and School Health Readiness Center of Excellence. On 19 October 2018, AMED Center and School, HRCOE, began realignment from MEDCoM to the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, with operational control by the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center, with full realignment effective 2 October 2019. The unit was redesignated to the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence, or MEDCoE, on 16 September 2019. There have been numerous changes over the years, but the mission of training medical professionals to support the Army remains constant. Now, the commander of troops will retrieve the national colors and march them forward to render honors to the nation. For more than 2 centuries, the Stars and Stripes have been the banner under which Americans have lived, fought, and died. More than a symbol, the flag is the embodiment of our government, people, ideals, and values.
Sound attention! Sound officers and color center, march!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Please be seated.
Now, order and parade route.
The very soul of a military unit is symbolized in the colors under which it fights, for the colors record the glories of the past, stand guardian over the unit's present destiny, and ensure inspiration for its future. History dictates that the colors lead the unit into battle. We will now witness the passing of the colors, symbolizing the change of command. The Medical Command, COE, Command Sergeant Major, will now remove the colors. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-5, the undersigned assumes command of the Medical Center of Excellence effective 10 January 2020, signed Major General Dennis P. LeMaster, United States Army, commanding. Command Sergeant Major O'Neill will pass the colors to Major General Sargent. Major General Sargent then passes the colors to Lieutenant General Rainey, signifying the relinquishment of his command of the Medical Center of Excellence. Lieutenant General Rainey then passes the colors to the incoming commander, Major General LeMaster, charging him with the command of the unit. Major General LeMaster will pass the colors back to the Command Sergeant Major, who returns the colors to the color bearer. This completes the circle and signifies trust and confidence in the non-commissioned officer corps. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Combined Arms Command, Lieutenant General James E. Rainey.
Well, thank you all very much for being here. Distinguished guests, fellow general officers, fellow commanders, command sergeant majors, welcome to today's awesome ceremony. Hey, before I get started, could I get any veteran that we have here in the audience to please stand up for a second? I never like to speak anywhere without taking a chance to say thank you. That flag out there, that Army flag, says 1775. And if you know your history, that's a year older than our country. That's because the Army put this great country on its feet and kept it free and the greatest country in the world. And that's because of our veterans, people like you that raised your hand and said they'd take a turn on the wall, keeping us free. And thank you all very much. God bless you. And for all you younger soldiers, never forget that we stand on the shoulders of the people that went before us and set all our great traditions. So thank you very much. One more round of applause, please. I'd like to thank everybody who put this great ceremony together. The band, you sound awesome. Salute battery was perfect. Everybody looks sharp out here. Sergeant Major O'Neill, my hat's off to you and the commander of troops. Does go to prove that even the best sergeant major in the Army can't keep two general officers in step while they're marching. That's an impossible task. But everybody else looks fabulous. All right, soldiers, listen up. I want you to stand at ease. Stand at ease, please. Shake it out a little bit. I'm serious. Don't worry about your sergeant major. I'm in charge. Shake it out. Shake it out. Don't talk, but I want you to relax a little bit while we give some speeches here. This is a very significant and important day. We're here to honor Pat Sargent, an incredible officer, leader, soldier for an incredible command tour. Pat's going to retire. There's a separate ceremony later today, and I'll leave most of the talking about his great career for that. But I wanted to say thank you, Pat, personally, for everything you've done. Thank you, Sherry, Samantha. You know, everybody wearing a uniform volunteered, and everybody who marries a soldier kind of either knew what they were getting into or should have. But Samantha, Army kids are awesome. You just got born into a family and dealt with adversity, and on behalf of every kid who grew up in an Army family, thank you for your incredibly selfless service. And if anybody ever asks you if you're going to serve your country, you tell them you have been since the day you were born. Hua? All right. There's not enough time this week to talk about everything Pat's accomplished down here, but I'll highlight a few. He led the transition of the Medical Center of Excellence out from under MEDCoE and up under TRADOC and the Combined Arms Command. Anybody who knows anything about the Army, transitions are the hardest thing we do, and he did it. He led his team through that transition that had all kinds of potential to be ugly and did it perfectly. He established the Medical Center of Excellence as a center of gravity for all Army medicine. Think about that, all Army medicine. He's trained soldiers and civilians to be the world's premier medical force, 37,000 students a year, over 360 courses. He led 2,400 men and women and embodied the very essence of mission command during this command. Most of you, we talked about our veterans. Most of you have had the opportunity to serve in combat. There's a lot of reasons that men and women wearing the U.S. Army uniform fight like nobody else on the battlefield. But one of them is because they know that if they get hurt, their teammates are going to come to them, and they are going to benefit from the world's best medical care, from point of injury all the way back to our premier facilities, and that the power of the United States is going to do everything they can to take care of them, help them recover from their injury. And Pat, no one is more responsible than you for the last 2 years in making that happen. Pat served 35 years of incredible selfless service to our country. He's a two-time combat veteran, meaning he fought in 2 different wars. He's commanded at the company, battalion, and brigade level in combat. He's very proud of the fact, I wouldn't let him fly anytime, I wouldn't get in a helicopter with him now, but he's very proud of the fact that he's a helicopter pilot, medevac pilot. He's not just a great officer, though. He's run hospitals. I mean, there's people in the civilian world that spend their whole life figuring out how to run a hospital, and you all been in civilian hospitals. Sometimes they aren't real great at it, but he's done that kind of like just, okay, I'm an Army officer, I'll figure it out, and has run some of the biggest and best hospitals and done it perfectly. He's represented the United States Army to Congress. We work for Congress. That's kind of an important job, going over there and representing the Army. He's done that. He's earned a couple master's degrees. I think he'd tell you, well, I'll let him talk, but he's also a great husband, father, and son. He's probably as proud of that as anything he's done in his life. Pat, thank you for your incredible service. Let's give him a quick round of applause, please. So one of the great things about the Army is we've replaced one great leader with another. Nobody's bigger than the organization. Nobody's bigger than the institution. And we're getting ready to do that. Dennis LeMaster is the perfect commander to lead the medical COE. I had the chance to watch Dennis earlier, a couple years ago. We were serving together, and he got tasked to step into a very dysfunctional organization following the relief of a commander and take over. And not only did he do that, he did it seamlessly. He fixed it, and he turned that organization from a disaster into an excellent organization under his command. Dennis, I will tell you, the bad news is the only thing harder than doing that is taking over a great organization from a great commander. So I'm looking forward to watching you step up to that challenge also. He's a combat veteran. He's served all over the world. Caring, compassionate leader, unquestionable character, competence, and commitment. And I'd like to welcome you, Dennis Trouty. It's good to see you again. I know Lucas couldn't be here today, but I know how proud he is. And please thank him on my behalf for serving his country also. Just like to leave everybody, just never forget the mission statement for a leader is two things: lead your organization well and develop those around you. Army medicine starts here. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the former commander of the Medical Center of Excellence, Major General Patrick D. Sargent.
Good morning. It's a fine day to be a soldier serving God, country, in the Medical Center of Excellence. Lieutenant General Horoho, Lieutenant General Richardson, Lieutenant General Peake, Lieutenant General Travis, Dr. Thomas, thank you guys for being here. Community leaders, distinguished guests, family, and friends. And more especially, my fraternity brothers from the great fraternity of Kappa Alpha Psi. I will tell you that today, the band, the national anthem, the troops on the field, Sergeant Major, well done, Dan, super job, have made this one of the most memorable changes of command I've been associated with. Good morning and welcome. Let me begin by saying that it has been an honor of a lifetime to lead this organization, a true honor to work with such dedicated team of committed professionals. Collectively, you have made commanding the Medical Center of Excellence an incredible experience. It is an honor to be before you today, and I don't use the word honor lightly. As Churchill said, honor is one of those great things that can be expressed in a single word: honor, freedom, justice, liberty, duty, mercy, and amongst all, hope. Today, it is an honor to be present at this change of command. As all you know, the change of command is especially meaningful to me. Over the years, you've often heard some of my aviation analogies, and one being to take off is optional, but it's mandatory to land. Gravity, like time, is not just an idea, it's a law, and neither are subject to repeal. So it's mixed emotions that in a few hours, I will face my mandatory landing. One that I have prepared for, but not fully yet realized. but knowing that landing is going to be made a bit smoother by knowing that this great organization is on solid ground. The Medical Center of Excellence foundational strength lies in its people. You, the remarkable men and women in uniform, veterans, civilians, counterparts, and our supporting families and communities. That is where our true strength resides. The fact that you have chosen to serve our great nation, not by coercion, not by matter of conscience, is a testament to your character. When called, you sacrifice. You did it so professionally, quietly, often in the shadows, with no expectation of reward. Commitment to mission, commitment to country, commitment to one another. That's strength. That matters. And that's why, even with all the recent change that was discussed by General Rainey, and I know that it has been difficult, I believe the future of this organization is not only sound, but it's going to play a pivotal role in the future success of the Army's transformation. You know, as I was reading over my remarks for today's ceremony, my mind flashed back to an episode of the West Wing. President Bartlett was reading through his State of the Union speech with his aide, Sam Seaborn. And Bartlett read his opening line, and he said, "I'm proud to report our country's stranger than it was a year ago." Sam replied, "Sir, that's a typo." To which the president said, jokingly, "Could go either way." You'll get it later. I joke, but the irony is the same. For someone who is not aware of the Army's reorganization and modernization efforts over the past year or so, to look at today's organizational chart, you see where the former schoolhouse was. Now it resides in TRADOC. Where MRDC is, and it lies, and it might look a little strange that those organizations under the commands they are right now. But to those who have been involved in the change, to those who understand the bigger picture, the right word would be clearly stronger. Stronger in that we're all well on our way of becoming a more integrated, a more agile, more nuanced medical entity on behalf of the warfighter. Stronger so that we are more adapt, evolve, innovate, and fundamentally transform, along with the Army, all at the speed and the scale required of modern warfare. Make no mistake about it, though our name and place on the organizational chart may have changed, our mission has not. Our mission begins and ends supporting our nation. Our most powerful weapon is our soldiers, improving performance, improving care, and improving the health and well-being of our soldiers. Everything else is secondary. Now, we have the opportunity to do that a little better. But it will require significant change in organizational structure, change in command and control, change in equipment, but most of all, change in a mindset. Change is nothing new to the Army. Change in our Army is not a liability. It's a strength. It's how we get better. It's how we remain relevant. It's how we remain ready for the next big thing. Flying helicopters, you learn about change. A stable system isn't a system, it constantly changes. Hovering a helicopter requires some skill. Sir, thank you very much for that one. Collective, cyclic, pedals. But that's why change is a strength. It is also why command is a strength. New eyes, new perspective, and new energy. Reimagining, rethinking, reinventing everything that we do. If we do not, someone else will. As I mentioned a few months ago to the team, success is not your ally. Your comfort zone may be your enemy. You have the opportunity to fundamentally change who, what, when, where, and how training is provided to our medics, nurses, doctors, and all members of the team. Simulation, AI, VR, AR, robotics, 5G, autonomous. The convergence of these technologies offer novel solutions to expanding our battle space problem, the maintenance of our battlefield trauma system, and access to care problems. I am convinced that when machine and human intellect meet. Wars will be won and lives will be saved. Don't get me wrong, I do not believe the soldier will be replaced anytime soon by technology. But the soldier who does not use technology in the acquisition, the annotation, the application of knowledge just might be. As you all know, change is not executed by a vision alone. Change is executed by individuals who are well-led. And you will be well-led by one of the best, Major General Dennis LeMaster and his wife, Trouty. Dennis has proven himself to be a transformational leader, a 21st century leader, an extremely competent leader. I have full trust and confidence, Dennis, that your leadership will excel and take this organization to even greater heights. And I believe that just as through you, I have found true inspiration, he will find the same and propel you to even greater heights. That's what makes the Army strong. That's what makes the Army great. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks true advancement. Dennis, create the culture necessary for that to happen. In closing, to this organization, to this place, and to this professionalism and kindness of everybody here, I owe you an incredible amount of gratitude. Always remember, what you do matters. There are sailors, airmen, soldiers, and Marines who are alive today because of what you do. And we should never forget that at this very moment, there are courageous men and women in uniform standing ready to visit violence on those who wish to harm us. We have some work to do. Serving you, this organization, and this country has been a privilege of a lifetime. On one that I will never, ever forget. Please continue your service as individuals and as an organization in support of your fellow soldiers, their families, our veterans, in the United States of America. I wish all of you good health, great friendships, and love. May God's grace be with you in all the days ahead. My name is Sargent, and I am a soldier.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the Medical Center of Excellence, Major General Dennis P. LeMaster.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for coming today. Soldiers on the field, salute, battery, color guard, band, everybody. You look fantastic. I got to tell you, it's you, your predecessors, and your successors is why I have woken up excited about every day for nearly the last 33 years. Thank you so much for what you do and what you're about to do. General Rainey, sir, thank you so much for coming down from Fort Leavenworth and presiding over the ceremony. Fellow general officers, commanders, command sergeants, major, distinguished guests, families, friends of the United States Army Medical Center of Excellence, thank you for your presence today. I want to begin by thanking the entire team for the warm welcome that Trouty and I have received. We are truly excited to be here, and we appreciate all the support. When we learned the Medical Center of Excellence would be our next assignment, it brought back the many memories we had back when we were here last in 2007. Since then, as has just been described, there's been so many positive changes that have taken over the past couple of years, particularly the last 2 years under the leadership of Major General Pat Sargent. The Medical Center of Excellence traces its lineage back to 1920, and today I'm truly honored to pick up the torch and lead on into the future. It is humbling, very humbling, to follow in the footsteps of one of the most consequential, impactful, and professional officers with whom I've admired and learned so much for nearly 20 years, Major General Pat Sargent. He leaves very big boots to fill, and we know that because of Pat's extraordinary efforts, this command is definitely postured for the future. General Sargent, sir, thank you for the example you set for all of us. Your character, and iron determination balanced with precision and patience. Your skills as a combat commander and your skills as a military scholar have been crucial in navigating the future. As I said last night, there are three things which have always struck me about you. You've always put the patient front and forward in all your thinking. You've always ensured that Army medicine was operationally synchronized with the Army, with the line, and they are who we support. And finally, you've always worked very hard to make the Army medical enterprise better everywhere you have been. You've been a trailblazer, and few have done it better than you. No matter the assignment, from medevac pilot to commanding general, you made it all look easy, but we all know when things look easy, it's because there's been a lot of work underneath, behind the scenes. Your service will positively impact future generations of soldiers. This transition for Trouty and I from Washington State to San Antonio, I will tell you, was very compressed. To give you a sense for it, the movers were there on Christmas Eve. We were cleaning the quarters on Christmas Day. But because of your support provided by you and your team, this has been the smoothest transition that we have ever experienced. Thank you so much. Trouty and I want to congratulate you on your retirement, and thank you and Sherry for all that you have done for our nation, Army, and Army medicine. And we wish you the very best of wishes and continued success to you, Sherry and Samantha. We're thrilled and very much looking forward to building upon the foundation that General Sargent and so many other outstanding commanders, and then there's a number of them here today, have built here at Fort Sam Houston. I'm also very honored to have the opportunity to work side by side with many in the audience and many in the buildings behind us. Such a fabulous team of professionals, and no doubt that they are behind the many successes of this fine institution. During these times of unprecedented transformation across both the Army, Army medicine, and the military health system, the work that you have done and the work that we will continue to do in developing leaders, maximizing readiness, and integrating medical capabilities, capacity, and solutions into the Army modernization strategy is essential towards building the force of the future, an Army capable of multi-domain operations and large-scale combat in multiple theaters simultaneously. In the weeks and months ahead, I look very much look forward to meeting the team and working more closely with you. Finally, I want to thank General Funk, General Rainey, and General Dingle for their continued support of Army medicine and for this opportunity. It's a humbling experience and a great honor. Thank you for coming. Pass and review.
Pass and review.
please stand and render the appropriate honors to our national colors prior to the colors passing the reviewing area. Approaching the reviewing stand is the Commander of Troops, Colonel Daniel G. Bonington, who hails from Boise, Idaho. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam's Own. The bandmaster is Chief Warrant Officer 5, Jonathan Ward from Lincolnton, North Carolina. The drum major is Sergeant First Class Daniel Clem from Jasper, Indiana. Approaching the reviewing stand is the Medical Center of Excellence Headquarters and Support Company, led by Major Erica Landers from San Antonio, Texas. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Kyle Spey from Asheville, North Carolina. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 32nd Medical Brigade, led by Colonel Wesley J. Anderson from Wasilla, Alaska. The brigade Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Carlise Jones from Orangeburg, South Carolina. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 232nd Medical Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Corey Plowden from Troy, South Carolina. The battalion Command Sergeant Major is Sergeant Major Skaggs from Dallas, Texas. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 264th Medical Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Story from Augusta, Georgia. The battalion Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Roosevelt Nettles from Darlington, South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the color guard passes your position in the reviewing stand. The color guard sergeant is our very own Command Sergeant Major Buck O'Neill of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Approaching the reviewing stand is the Medical Professional Training Brigade, led by Colonel Shannon Shaw from Yorktown, Virginia. The Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Jennifer Redding from Kearney, Indiana. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 187th Medical Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Paul Lang from Keene, New Hampshire. The battalion Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Gilberto Colon of the Bronx, New York. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 188th Medical Battalion, led by Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Marsh from Joplin, Missouri. The battalion Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Hardwick from Auburn, Alabama. Approaching the reviewing stand is the United States Army Medical Department Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, led by First Sergeant Dayton Davis from New York, New York. The Senior Operations Non-Commissioned Officer is Master Sergeant Isario Soriano from Las Cruces, New Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing and singing of the Army song. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Please join Major General Sargent and his family in the front of the pavilion and join Major General LeMaster at the AMED Museum. Have a great Army Day.